When we think about a cyber attack, most of us picture this one big moment. Bam, the hacker's in, story's over, right? But what if I told you that's just the opening scene? What happens after they get in? That's where the real story, the real strategy begins, right? So a hacker gets in. Is it game over? We all kind of think that, don't we? We picture this quick smash and grab job. But honestly, that's a massive misunderstanding of how this actually works. Because for a professional attacker, getting that first foothold, that's just stepping through the front door. The real work, the really calculated, super strategic part of the whole operation, it's only just getting started. So let's break down the playbook they follow, step by step. Now, you'd think the first thing an attacker does is start grabbing data, right? Nope. The absolute first priority is making sure they can't get kicked right back out. They've got to secure their spot. And this all comes down to a concept called persistence. It's basically the art of creating hidden backdoors. Think about it like this. You sneak into a building through an open window. You're not going to run straight for the vault. No way. Your first move is to make a copy of the front door key. That way, even if they find and shut that window, you can just waltz right back in whenever you feel like it. So how do they actually do this? Well, here are a few classic methods. That SSH key injection, that's literally hiding a spare key under the digital doormat for password-free entry. A cron job, that's like setting a recurring alarm clock on the system that tells it, hey, every day at 3 a.m., open the back door for me. And registry modification. That's like sneaking into the building manager's office and editing the employee directory to list yourself as the new CEO. Pretty clever, huh? Okay, so they know they're not getting kicked out easily. Now, the next phase kicks in. They need to upgrade their access. They need to go from being a simple guest to owning the whole building. And this is one of my favorite analogies for it. It's like finding a janitor's key card and upgrading it to the CEO's master key. This is what we call privilege escalation. See, their initial access might be super limited, like a low-level user account. But the goal is to find weaknesses inside the network to get the highest level of control you can possibly get. We're talking root or administrator access, the keys to the entire kingdom. And this slide just shows you how huge that difference is. With low privileges, you might only be able to see one office, a few files in one folder. But after you've escalated your privileges, whoa, now you have the master key. You can go into every single room, you can access every server, every database, every single user's files across the entire organization. It's a total game changer. Now that they've got the master key, it is officially time to pull off the job. And this happens in two main parts. First, you spread out, and then you steal what you came for. So first, they spread. This is what's known as lateral movement. They're using that master key to move silently from the mailroom to the boardroom, hopping from one computer to the next. They're basically mapping out the whole network, moving around, trying to find where the really valuable stuff is hidden. And what are they hunting for? Well, they're after the crown jewels. And that can be anything, right? We're talking customer databases, sensitive financial records, trade secrets, maybe even login credentials for other systems. The main goal is just to find those servers holding the most valuable, most sensitive data they can get their hands on. Okay, so once they've found the prize, getting it out is this really careful process. We call it exfiltration. It's a simple three-step dance. First, you find the data. Then, you package it up, usually compressing it, maybe encrypting it to make it look like a harmless little file. And finally, you sneak it out, slowly, quietly, trying to make the data transfer look like just another piece of normal, everyday network traffic. The data is out. The heist is basically done. But a real pro isn't finished yet, not even close. The last and maybe one of the most critical steps is to cover their tracks, to make it look like they were never there at all. Yeah, the whole goal here is to make it look like absolutely nothing ever happened. It's the digital version of wiping down all the fingerprints and erasing the security camera footage after the job is done. Why? Because if they can erase their footprints, the company might not even know they were breached for weeks, maybe even months. And that gives the attacker a massive head start. So, how did they pull off this magic trick? It's a really meticulous cleanup process. They're editing security logs to remove any mention of their activity. They're deleting command histories. They're even changing the timestamps on files, so it doesn't look like anything was touched. And of course, they securely wipe any of the tools they brought with them, so there's absolutely nothing left behind. Okay, so that whole process sounds pretty terrifying, doesn't it?
It sounds awful. But here's the big twist, and honestly, this is the most important part of this whole explainer. What if I told you that the good guys, the defenders, use this exact same playbook for a completely different reason? And this is where we enter the world of ethical hacking. Look at this, a malicious attacker. They have zero permission. It's totally illegal. Their goal is to steal or destroy, and their final action is to cover their tracks so they can get away with it. But an ethical hacker, they have full written authorization. Their goal isn't to steal, it's to find weaknesses to help the company defend itself. And their final action? It's not to hide. It's to deliver a super detailed report explaining every single vulnerability they found and how to fix it. So here's the main takeaway. Ethical hackers run this entire playbook, every single step, persistence, escalation, lateral movement, not to cause any harm, but to perfectly simulate a real attack. They're doing it to find all the security holes so they can get them patched before the real criminals have a chance to find them first. They are literally stress testing the defenses. And that leaves us with one final, really critical thought. This playbook, it's known. Both sides, the attackers and the defenders, they know exactly how this game is played. So the only question that really matters is this. When the attack does come, are the defenses ready?